Even though we think of 18-year-olds as adults, their brains are far from finished. Scientists are now learning what insurance companies have known for a long time. When do your car insurance rates change? Age 25. Why? Because that is when you're less likely to get into accidents and cost them money. Here is a graph of activity in the prefrontal cortex across the lifespan. It is based on over 6,000 scans that we have done in our clinics. You can see that a child's brain is very active. But over time, brain activity begins to settle down because unused connections are being pruned and brain cells are being wrapped with a white fatty substance called myelin. Myelin acts like insulation on copper wires and helps our cells work more efficiently. In fact, cells wrapped with myelin work 10 to 100 times faster than those without it. The prefrontal cortex is not fully myelinated or efficient until we are about 25 years old. Anything that disrupts myelin formation, such as smoking, drinking, drug abuse, brain trauma, a lousy diet, too much stress, or not enough sleep, can actually delay or damage brain development. We need to do a much better job of taking care of younger brains. Our research also shows a new burst of increased activity in the prefrontal cortex after the age of 50. As I looked at this part of the curve, I began to think of the wisdom of age. Have you ever noticed that many silly things become less important as we age? We become more thoughtful and more able to focus on what really matters in life, which is why some people make better grandparents than they do parents. Bill Cosby has a great routine where he says that his children think their grandmother is the most wonderful person on the face of the earth. I keep telling my children, he says, that this is not the same woman that I grew up with. You are looking at an old person who is trying to get into heaven. Now, that may be true, but more likely it has to do with the wisdom of age. If you take care of your brain over time, you are more likely to be wiser, as wisdom is a brain function. One of the most important lessons we have learned from looking at tens of thousands of SPECT scans is that what most people think of as mental illnesses, such as bipolar disorder or ADD, are really in large part brain problems. And getting help for these problems is essential to having healthy minds and healthy relationships. Many people who need help never get it because they feel embarrassed or ashamed. I find that one of my first jobs with patients is to let them in on a little-known secret. Normal is a myth. From time to time, most of us will need a little help. According to a study sponsored by the National Institutes of Health, 51% of the US population will suffer with a mental illness at some point in life. Anxiety disorders, depression, ADD, and substance abuse are the most common. If you struggle with one of these problems, then I say, welcome to normal. I tell my patients that normal is really nothing more than a setting on a dryer or a city in Illinois. Actually, I once gave a lecture in Normal, Illinois. It was great fun. I got to go to the Normal grocery store. I was interviewed on the Normal radio station, and I was finally able to meet normal women. As it turned out, people from Normal had the same problems that I had seen everywhere else. Here is our drug education poster that now hangs in over 50,000 schools around the world. It shows a healthy brain surrounded by drug and alcohol-affected brains. It asks the question, which brain do you want? That is a question you should always ask yourself.